All right. Hey, thank you everybody for joining me today. I wanted to put together a quick video showcasing some of the functionality and features inside of the Energy Kiosk application. That's the shop floor. That is what the shop floor sees. We call it the Energy Kiosk. What you see in front of you is the Energy Office view. The Office view is really there to do one thing, and that is to create the perfect release to the shop floor. The idea behind Energy is that you are managing your projects, you are bidding, you are breaking up your work orders, managing your shop drawings, all in one platform. And you're releasing that information to the shop at the exact right time. So to jump into the kiosk, we are going to click on the tablet icon at the top of our screen. That's going to bring us to app.energy.com/kiosk. This might be the home page. This might be what y'all see on the shop floor by default. We'll try to set this up to be the default homepage for you guys. And you see really four main modules here. You have production, receiving, inventory, and time tracking. You're going to use time tracking probably the most. Pretty much everybody in the shop floor is going to use the time tracking module, and that's where we're going to start. So we're going to go ahead and click on time tracking. That's going to show you a couple of buttons here. Depending on what you're currently clocked into or not clocked into, the buttons change, right? So right now you're going to see at the very bottom of my screen, I am working on Trinity Vet Clinic installation. I'm going to go ahead and clock out and start over so you can see that entire process. So with Energy, clocking in and punching in are two separate activities. Your first step is to log into Energy. You're going to use a 4-digit PIN to log in, or you're going to be scanning a QR badge to log in. Once you are logged in, you are going to be tapping clock in, or you're going to be scanning a work order, a labor item on a work order, to automatically clock into that work order. So I'm going to go ahead and tap clock in here, and I'm going to select new activity. And you either clock into a work order or you clock into a generic activity. Generic activities being cleaning, maintenance, that sort of thing. Working on a work order is how we job cost inside of Energy. So instead of clocking into projects, you are going to be clocking into work orders. You select a work order. You see a list of all work orders in the entire system. There's a lot here, 400. How do you find what you're looking for? Well, you just use the filters at the top of the screen. If you know the project name that you're looking to clock into, you can just type it on the keyboard. Or if you're on a mobile device, you can type it with the on-screen keyboard on a mobile device. But you can select whatever project that you want to clock into, select your work order, and then you'll select your activity down below. Now, if the labor is not on the work order, shame on the office, right? The work should be released to the shop floor that has labor items on it. If there are no labor items on that work order, you can add a labor item by selecting Add Labor Item and selecting your installation or whatever labor that you want to clock into. So here I'll just do Install here. Hit Save. Sorry for all the gibberish labor items here. This is our test instance of Energy, so it's kind of all over the place. Once you select an activity, you'll notice that you are now working on that particular work order, and you are working on that activity right there. Now, you'll also be using Energy to receive materials and move materials around in the inventory system. The office is going to create your purchase orders. Those purchase orders are going to show up in the receiving calendar. The receiving calendar is going to show you all POs in the system, and it's color-coded. So if a PO is green, that means it's been fully received. If it's yellow, that means it's been partially received. Now, if we go back a little bit, maybe we have one here, maybe not. Gray. Here's a gray one right here. Gray POs means that has not been received at all. So when you click into a purchase order, you'll see a list of all materials that need to be received. And you can go ahead and receive the entire purchase order or receive items individually. I'm going to go ahead and select Receive All. and you're going to choose the bin that those items go into. Using INNERGY, you can start to manage all of your materials, whether they're stock materials like sheet goods, melamine, particle board, or if they're project-specific materials like specific colors of PLAM or solid surface. They can all go into inventory as an option. So you'll select your inventory bin, you'll click receive, and you are actually going to be printing a label for those materials. And that label has a preferred project on it. And that will tell the shop, hey, this material is for this project. Please don't use it for another project. That preferred project is there for communication and telling the organization what that material is for. If you were to scan this QR code, different things happen based on where you're at inside of INNERGY. If you're on the material inventory screen, you scan a material, you can move it around to a different bin. If you're on the fulfillment screen, you can scan a material to actually fulfill the material to a work order. So context matters when you're scanning your labels inside of INNERGY. Now, in addition to material labels, I mentioned this earlier, but you can also print a badge label. So this badge label is per employee. You're going to see here that I have a login, logout label, and I have a punch-in, punch-out label. Instead of selecting my picture and entering in my 4-digit PIN to log in, I can actually scan my badge, and that will log me into the system. I can scan a work order, and that will clock me into that work order, into the specific labor item that I selected. Time tracking, we talked about receiving. You're going to be using INNERGY to manage inventory. Not everybody may have access to the inventory module, but the idea is everything that you purchase can go into an inventory system. And when we request and fulfill materials on specific work orders, we end up job costing the actual quantity that was used. So the inventory system allows you to move materials around into different bins, allows you to request and fulfill material for job costing purposes. The last module here is the production module. This has the majority of information that we care about on our purchase, or rather our work orders. We select our production module. You'll see work orders, shipping, request materials, and our already requested materials. If we select work orders, you're going to see a list of all work orders in the system. And if you were to select a work order, you will have work order instructions show up here at the top of the screen. You'll have any approved shop drawings appear on that work order as well. And your shipment items. These are going to be the actual products that you are going to be shipping to your customer. And these shipping items are controlled ideally by engineering. They're going to be pushing what the shipping items are going to be from the engineering software. But if you are building something, making something, you need to ship it to the job site, you can actually create shipping items on the fly. Every single shipping item can have a label. Just like we have labels for materials and for labor, we have labels for finished products. These finished products show you the project name, the work order number, and the name of the product itself. And if you were to scan this label right here, you can actually ship or create shipments in the shipping module right here. So if you select a work order or project rather, let's go to see if we have one here. Here's a test project. You can create a shipment. There's an already existing shipment. I'm just going to go ahead and select that one. And you're going to see any products that are not loaded and any products that are loaded. Here I don't have a lot of products, so I'm just going to create one. You can actually create shipment items on the fly in the shipping module as well. So we created that item. We're going to go back. Now you can select that item right there. You can load that onto the shipment, or you can scan the product label on the actual product itself, and you can print a shipping manifest. That shipping manifest can go with your shipment that you send to the customer, and it comes complete with a signature area to indicate record of it actually being received. And we go to our work orders. Another thing to keep in mind here, I mentioned this earlier, is that you can actually scan into work orders that are printed. So if we go to a work order, let's actually select one here. We could do this one. This one maybe doesn't have any labor on it. Let me actually jump to another instance of Innergy. Bear with me 1 second. That one didn't have a lot of good data in it. So we are going to go to our demo instance. So keep that in mind. Well, let's go back to our production here. Let's go to work orders, and let's select a reception desk work order. Here in this reception desk work order, it's a little better example. I should have used this one at the beginning, sorry. But you're gonna see that I have work order instructions show up here. This comes from the office. I have approved shop drawings, which by the way, I can click on and I can draw. Somebody's already drawn a ton of different stuff on here, but you'll see that you can draw on these items. And any annotations, these are what we call annotations. Any annotations that you make here in the shop will appear back in the office. Any annotations in the office will appear back in the shop in real time. So you can actually communicate with your project managers, engineers, if you have any questions on how something is built or any clarifications that are needed. But going back to the original reason why I logged in here, I can actually print this particular work order as a PDF. So I'm going to export as PDF. You can choose the items that you want to print here. I'm going to hit print. And here is that printed work order, or traveler as some of our customers call it. And you'll see that you have your work order instructions show up here. You have all of your individual shipment items. You have all of your materials that come from the office, right? The bill of materials is populated before this work gets to the shop. And then you have your labor items. So if you were to scan your badge and then scan custom fabrication, you can clock in and log in to the reception desk work order for custom fabrication labor. Clocking in that way is very easy, very straightforward. It takes literally 10 seconds to do, and something that we definitely recommend customers give that a try. The other item that I wanted to address here in this video is the Gemba board. The Gemba board is set to be enabled. Gemba is a Japanese term from the Toyota Way, a manufacturing philosophy. And if we configure our Gemba board, it's essentially a screensaver. For whatever the duration is that you set for your Gemba board, it's going to display, once it doesn't detect any movement inside of Innergy, it's going to display who's clocked into which work orders based on how you have that Gemba board configured. So here it's showing me that there's no work in progress. Nobody's clocked into anything. Because if we go down to our configuration and our settings, I have drafting and engineering as my department that I have configured. But you're going to see here that I'm logged into case goods assembly. I'm going to go ahead and change my Gemba board. And I'm going to select case goods. And hopefully I have my labor set up right, so it's actually going to show up here. We'll exit out of that. We won't touch our mouse. And that Gemba board will appear. And you're going to see who's clocked in to which projects, how much time has been spent on those projects versus what has been planned, and your stage date for the actual work order. This Gemba board is designed in a way to basically allow anybody who may be in the office or may not be on the shop on a daily basis to quickly walk the production line, our manufacturing space, and see who's clocked into what and what the status is of our work orders. Hopefully this overview video was helpful. We wanted to give you a brief overview of the kiosk application. There are other things that we did not mention on this video that we will get into in more detail during the implementation process. Thank you.